Hi, this is Jeff Van Pant with the Star Herald. I'm speaking today with Dave Bollish, the Scottsbluff High School girls basketball coach. Tell me a little bit about how you got into coaching.
Um, my dad was a coach, and so I remember, and my parents were teachers, and I remember being in the gym all the time while my dad was coaching, or they were finishing up teaching and that type of thing. And so started off young for me there, and then I actually started working with the 7th and 8th grade team with kind of my mentor and coach, a guy named Craig Cooper out there in Gunnison. And so I started coaching 7th grade B team basketball when I was a sophomore in high school. So,
Oh, geez.
yep. So I did that sophomore, junior, senior year, and then Sydney, I coached a youth program out there. Jake Herron, Tyler Winholtz, those guys, and then coached youth program in Kearney when I was finishing up school there, and coached boys at St. Paul for a year, and then was Rachel's assistant, and then got the head job after that. So that was kind of my road through it.
Yeah, do you think as a young kid, with your dad as a coach, was that something you were thinking about then, or was it just kind of something that happened a little bit later?
I think, I was really fortunate. I just had such good coaches growing up. My freshman coach, we had a playbook like this thick, and he played for Bowling Green University. His dad played in the pros. And so I was surrounded by basketball knowledge my whole life,
Yeah.
and that's kind of, I don't know, I just fell in love with the game that way, and so I think it was probably always destined to be part of my life, yeah.
And you're known for your fast-paced offense. Is that something you kind of grew up with too, or is that something you kind of came up?
I think that kind of just developed with me as the type of player that I was, and the way that the game evolved too. Over from I was born in '87 until now, the game has changed a lot, and so it really does, I think, lend itself towards the kids and the frames that we've had, and also statistically speaking, there's an advantage to taking more shots and to taking more three-point shots, and so we've just totally doubled down and bought into that.
Yeah, and of course it probably helps too. You have the personnel as well to do that or run that offense.
Right.
And do you think, going back to the first round against Crete, do you think a lot of teams like that kind of underestimate your half-court offense?
I think so. And admittedly so too. It is our weakness. And we've had to spend time working on that and developing that. And I think that you talk to a lot of the coaches that we compete with here. I think John and John McClain. I think Tyler Shaw would tell you that they try to slow us down. That's kind of their game plan, and it puts us out of our comfort zone. And so when you're able to do that and control the tempo on us, it does put us at a disadvantage. And that's part of why we use so much pressure defense and trapping defense in order to try to create. We like chaos. We think that if we can get teams tired and frantic, that we practice that so much that we'll find an advantage. So I think that teams are not always prepared for us to come down and execute. And I think that's something we did a much better job of this year and last year too, is controlling the basketball with a 4 or 5 point lead. We learned some tough lessons with that against GI Northwest in 19 and the year before. So.
Yeah, and I think, going back to Crete too, I think their big mistake was not accounting for Sabrina Harsh down low. How was she been a little instrumental too? She can run with the other girls too, but she's also a presence down low.
Yeah, her length and athleticism really gives our guards some cover in terms of they're able to play with such high pressure right now with her shot blocking ability that they've got a little bit of freedom with the interior there. So she does help us, and the fact that she's still able to maintain the tempo is a big piece too. But I think for Crete too, when you look at their defense, and we watched it a lot, they had those two unbelievable guards at the top, tons of size, and they funneled everything into that 6'4" freshman. And what I noticed is that most teams tried to stay away from her, so we wanted to go right at her. And we felt really strongly like if we could get the ball below the volleyball line to the baseline, that we could be successful. So the girls did an unbelievable job of executing our game plan there. And we used to tell Yada, and we just told Sabrina and Mariah, and I mean, we used to tell Krentz too, go right at those kids. I mean, I don't care if they block your first 3 shots. We want to go right at them, and we want to put them in foul trouble. And that changed the game a little bit for us. So
and I think a lot of teams, they have that ability too to go down low and kind of create some, opportunities to get to the free throw line. But I think they might try it for a little bit and kind of give up on that.
And I think that's part of it too. Is that with our lack of size, we also bring a ton of skill too. So you get kids like, a Callie Wright or Emma Foote that catches the ball at, 10, 12 feet where most people think they're not a threat. They're still attacking. That's something that I think Callie and Emma did a really good job of, was using their skill from inside the 3-point line against bigger players. And that's something that you're usually not looking for. So I was really proud of the way that they attacked, not just Crete, but other opponents too, when we said go right after them.
And you guys are pretty much known too for having a deep bench. How has that kind of contributed to the success of the team as well?
Well, I think the number one thing is that we have to have the bench because of how fast we play. But also because of how aggressive we play. In terms of we're going to foul. We're going to get into some situations where we do have some fouls against us. And so it takes some of the pressure off of kids. But most importantly, I think the biggest thing is that it makes our practices better. We had this year our JV team would have been a heck of a varsity team for a lot of schools and in this area. And so every single day we're getting pushed and tested, and that's what makes you better. Is you only get to play 2 games a week, but we had to play ourselves every day. And so I think that's where the advantage of the bench comes in.
It kind of goes back to Michael Jordan's philosophy too. If you practice hard, you play hard.
Right. You can't expect to practice soft and then play hard, right?
And with your team too, the last couple of years you had some really good seniors. How have they been instrumental in kind of passing down the principles of that offense?
I think that's been a huge key piece for us. Is it doesn't matter if you go all the way back to Sally or Rudy or Taylor Deej and Jackie or Key and Mac or Yada, Aubrey, Emma, Taylin. We can list them all off. And now you've got this class of seniors. They have done such a good job, I think, of honoring what we value, which is being tough and being loyal and being all in. But they also bring their own unique personality to the way that they lead, and the way that they teach, and the way that they kind of keep the culture going. And so we've just been fortunate with all those kids. They all bring something different, and but they all make part of who we are. That's our foundation. Our foundation is the seniors, and every year, and we talk about it. What's your legacy is not how many games you win. It's the kids that come right after. So, we've challenged all the kids with that. I've been super proud of them too. We've had some break records as teams. We've had, some pretty much every record in scoring was broken, not this year, but last year. And so they've also left something to chase too. And I think that that's important.
And, another thing is, was that you that kind of came up to, with the tough scheduling? Was that kind of your idea?
No, I don't get to take credit for that. That would be, I think a lot of that credit goes to actually Tony. Scott's a huge advocate for it, and that's Dave. That's a lot of Dave. I actually, I think Mr. Hawksworth would say that's probably been one of our great debates. I think that the way that the PowerPoint system is set up, that you have to go after a tough schedule, and I believe in it. I think that right now we're at a place where the tougher the schedule we can get, the better off we're going to be. But I also think that when we first came in, learning how to win is a real factor. And so finding that balance, I think, is really important. And I think we've got there. And, I think that took some give on my part. And I think, it took some honest conversations with Mr. Hawksworth and I. And I think that he's also kind of come and supported us with the fact that, making the state tournament is one thing. But when you go in as the 8 seed, it's really hard.
Yeah.
You know, when you get Elkhorn North the first game, when you get Creek the first game with Morgan Molly,
Yeah.
when you get, you know, GI Northwest the first game, that's really tough.
Yeah.
You know, even when you're on the road for that district final,
Yeah.
that's a disadvantage. And so you want to be prepared, but you also want to have the advantage of home court,
Yeah.
and you want to have a seeding where you think that you can really compete. That 4-5, 6-3
Yeah.
game is kind of where you want to be, in my opinion.
Yeah, you know, you guys picked up your first 2 state tournament wins the last couple of years too.
Yeah.
You know, how important is that to your team going forward?
Well, you know, I mean, that was the ultimate goal of the 2020 class. You know, I mean, when we had that first group of seniors, Sally, Avery, Rudy, and we didn't make it. You know, when we took the freshmen at the time, which was Yada and Aubrey and all them, down, and we went and watched.
Yeah.
We're like, we want to get here, and that was the sole mission for those 2 kids in particular. And they broke a ton of records on the way, but they also spent thousands of hours in the gym individually to achieve that. And so that was huge. Getting there was first step. Winning that game, unbelievable. I mean, that took so much pressure off of us.
Yeah.
Now that was 2020. Talk about 21. Now it was almost harder for this class of seniors, because they're like, we have to go. There's the pressure, we got to get there. And then there's the pressure of, well, we're supposed to win. And, you know, I mean, winning those games and competing in those games is really hard.
Yeah.
And the thing that the 21 class did is that's actually the first game we've ever won at Pinnacle Bank.
Yeah.
And that's different too. You know, I mean, the first game was at Devaney, which is like a really big college, or, you know, a JUCO, a big high school. But, you know, winning at Pinnacle Bank is different. And so getting that done, I think also is just the next piece of the puzzle for us as we try to, you know, continue to get to that final game and you know, and let the ball bounce whatever way it's going to bounce.
Yeah, and you know, after picking up, you know, wins the last 2 years too, do the girls seem like they're a little bit hungrier to, you know, push it past that?
I think that, I think that anytime you start to consistently do something, it becomes more normal. And I think that you want to normalize that experience, because you want to normalize that situation and that pressure. And so I think that it does also, though, drive that next piece of before it's we got to make it, and then it's we got to win, and now it's we got to win too, and we got to get to a state final. You know, and it just drives the machine. So I think that we're doing a really nice job of having come from winning 6 games and, you know, 2 games from Rachel and I's first year to we're trying to win 2 games in a row at the state tournament. You know, that's a pretty big turnaround in 8 years.
And is a big part of that too, not just making there too, and also expecting to pick up that win?
I think so too. I think that's a huge part of it. I think believing is as much part of the process as anything. You know, we talked about that just a minute ago with learning how to win. You know, learning how to win is a factor. Believing that you're supposed to win is also a factor. And I think that was one of the things for this team that was so special. You know, I mean, you go back to our Western Conference tournament, and we're down, I think, 5 with 47 seconds left against Shattering, and we figured out a way to win there. You know, and that's just believing. You know, and sometimes you just get teams that are like, they don't even know better. Like, we're gonna win every game. That's just what we're gonna win. Why? I don't know. Just because we said so. And so that's this team was really, I think, special about, like, we're gonna win because we think so. And that's a huge part of it. You got to believe you're supposed to win in order to.
Yeah, you know, going back to that deep edge too, you were able to get a lot of those underclassmen some time out on the court too. How valuable is that going to be for you guys going forward?
You know, I think that we have a simple rule. If you can help us win, you're going to play. And, you know, we pretty much also have the mentality of, if you're a sophomore and you're a senior and you're both playing at the same level, we're going to play the sophomore. And I think that in us having that set rule, kids know. And so kids compete, and then kids get opportunities, and kids chase them. And I think that they also trust that, you know, Hattie and I are going to be very, very, very strict about that. And so I think that, you know, we've had young kids play for us forever. And, you know, I mean, that's, if you can help us win, you're going to play. And if you're going to help us win, then you need to be in that situation, and you need to feel what that's like, and you need to hear your name called, and you need to be out there. And, you know, that's big. It's bright lights down there at PBA. So I think we are going to be better for it. And that's the advantage that right now the sophomore class, Sabrina and Peyton. I mean, that's an unbelievable class.
Yeah.
Tierra West, Shea Willett, Spady, Aubrey Bear. We might end up with eight seniors out of that class.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. So I think that the fact that they have been there every year so far, and then that has become a standard and normalized for them, is going to be huge for us as we try to make this next push in the next 3-4 years.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
This was Jeff Van Pelt with Star Hill. I was speaking today with Dave Bollish, the head coach of the Scottsbluff High School girls basketball team.